Hello, welcome to Daily Patterns. My name's Tom and today we're reading Genesis 19 together. Genesis 19 is not exactly family reading. There's all sorts of themes in this that can make us really uncomfortable. And yet I am convinced that God's character never changes. He's the God who was and is to come. He's slow to anger and he's rich in love. He was slow to anger, he is slow to anger, he will be slow to anger. He's always rich in love and in mercy. And by reading the last part of Genesis chapter 18, some of you may have read it yesterday, we can see that what God does in Sodom and Gomorrah isn't some random act of rage, but it's the result of years of what the people of those two towns have been doing. God saved 4 people from Sodom and Gomorrah. One of them almost got saved. 3 of them came out alive. And if you look at the example that we see of them in chapter 19, Lot and his wife and his 2 daughters, none of them come out of this chapter well. So if those are the people that God saved, or in Lot's wife's case, almost saved, we can only imagine what the other inhabitants of those 2 towns were like. There's something deep within us as human beings that longs not only for mercy but for justice. And we've seen that cry for justice all across the Western world over the last few months. Protests erupting everywhere, people saying enough is enough, we want justice. And that is part of the character of God, a longing for justice. And God executes justice against Sodom and Gomorrah in chapter 19. Jesus, on a few occasions in the New Testament, talks directly about Sodom and Gomorrah. In Matthew 10, where he sends out his 12 followers, he warns them that some towns will reject them. And he says, for those towns that reject you, it will be worse than it was for Sodom and Gomorrah. Because Jesus, who is God, is full of love, is full of mercy, is inviting us in, but also brings justice. In Peter's second letter, right at the end of the New Testament, he talks about Sodom and Gomorrah and the example that they set to us. He says this of God: if God condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah by burning them to ashes and made them an example of what is going to happen to the ungodly, and if he rescued Lot, a righteous man who was distressed by the depraved conduct of the lawless, if this is so, then God knows how to rescue the godly from trials and to hold the unrighteous for punishment in a day of judgment. Jesus is coming again. He will put the world to rights. And for all of us who love him, who put our trust in him, who follow him, whatever our story, we get to be counted among the righteous by his grace and by his goodness. Take care.